The power of saying no, why setting boundaries is an act of self-love? No. It's a simple word, just two letters, but how often do we struggle to say it? We hold our breath, tense our shoulders, give a polite smile, and murmur a reluctant yes, even when every fiber of our being protests. In that moment, we abandon ourselves. And when this becomes a habit, we don't just stretch ourselves thin, we lose touch with who we are. In a world that often glorifies overgiving, people-pleasing, and self-sacrifice as virtues, saying no can feel like a radical act. Yet, learning to say no with clarity, compassion, and conviction is one of the most profound declarations of self-worth. At its core, saying no is not about rejection. It's about protection of your time, energy, values, and peace. It's about defining your emotional, mental, and physical space. It's about drawing a line in the sand that says, this is who I am, and this is what I need to honor that. To say no is to say yes to something far greater, yourself. We are trained early to associate no with negativity. From childhood, we're rewarded for being agreeable and compliant. We're told to be nice, to not hurt anyone's feelings, to be easygoing and helpful. And while kindness and generosity are beautiful traits, the pressure to always be agreeable often comes at a high personal cost. Adults who grow up with this conditioning often find themselves stretched, then emotionally exhausted, physically depleted, and spiritually disconnected. They overcommit, avoid conflict, and prioritize everyone else's needs above their own. They fear disappointing others more than they fear betraying themselves. This form of chronic self-abandonment is often cloaked in politeness and obligation, but beneath the surface lies resentment, anxiety, and burnout. Saying no in these cases feels like a transgression. We fear being perceived as selfish, rude, cold, or difficult. So we nod, agree, give in, and then pay the price in silence. But here's the truth. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you weaken your self-trust. You tell yourself, my feelings don't matter, or other people's comfort is more important than my truth. The result? You begin to disappear behind the mask of pleasing. But you were not born to be agreeable, you were born to be authentic. Boundaries are not barriers. They are Burgesto self-awareness, emotional safety, and deeper relationships. Setting a boundary is not an act of separation, it's an invitation to connect with others from a space of honesty and mutual respect. Think of boundaries as the rules of engagement in your life. They protect your time and energy, they signal what is and isn't okay. They create the conditions for thriving relationships not through control, but through clarity. When you clearly communicate your needs and limits, you honor your own well-being. Offer others the opportunity to engage with you honestly. Create space for emotional intimacy rooted in truth. And when someone reacts negatively to your boundaries, it's not necessarily a sign that you did something wrong. Often, it's simply a reflection of their discomfort with being denied access to what they were never entitled to in the first place. Setting boundaries is not about punishing others, it's about preserving your peace. Why is it so hard then? The fear of saying no runs deep. Beneath it lies the fear of being judged, disliked, misunderstood, or rejected. This fear is primal, rooted in our evolutionary wiring, where belonging to a group was a matter of survival. To be ostracized meant danger. So we adapted. We learned to perform, please, and fit in. But we're not living in tribes anymore. We won't perish if someone disapproves of us. The danger is no longer physical, it's emotional. And the wounds of rejection, if unhealed, can still run our lives. Healing begins when we notice the ways we shrink ourselves for acceptance and gently begin to reclaim our voice. Ask yourself, what is the price of being everything to everyone? Your time? Your peace? Your identity? When you say no, you risk disappointing someone. But when you don't say no, you risk disappointing yourself. And that's a far deeper wound. Learning to say no is like building a muscle. At first, it feels unfamiliar. You may tremble, you may question yourself, but with practice, it becomes more natural. You learn to trust your intuition, to pause, check in, and respond from alignment rather than obligation. Here are a few tools to support your journey. The pause. When asked for something, practice taking a breath before replying. Give yourself space to feel into your true answer. The gentle no. Try responses like, I'm not available for that, or I appreciate you thinking of me, but I'll pass. Soft words, firm intent. The sacred yes. Say yes only when your whole being lights up. If it's not a hell yes, it's probably a no in disguise. The inner check-in. Notice how your body feels when you're asked for something. Tightness, dread, or resistance are usually signs to pause. You are not required to explain, justify, or defend your boundaries. No is a complete sentence, and even when spoken with trembling lips, it still carries power. When you begin to set boundaries, something magical happens. You begin to feel more alive. You reclaim your time, your energy, your voice. You stop living reactively and start choosing consciously. You honor your needs not as an afterthought, but as sacred. You begin to trust yourself in a way you never have before. You stop outsourcing your worth and begin to embody it. Saying no becomes less about what you're rejecting and more about what you're preserving. Your integrity, your authenticity, your joy. And what's more powerful than a person who chooses themselves not out of arrogance, but out of love? Imagine a life where you wake up energized because your day isn't filled with resentful obligations, where your relationships are rooted in mutual respect, not silent sacrifice, where your decisions align with your values, not just with other people's expectations. That life begins the moment you choose to honor your no. So the next time you feel the familiar pull to say yes out of guilt or fear, pause, listen, ask yourself, am I saying yes to avoid discomfort or because this truly aligns with me? And then, with love for yourself and ultimately for the world, say what your soul really wants to say. No, because it's not just a refusal, it's a return to yourself, to your truth, to your freedom. This is your daily awakening.